sitting here, of course, this is Dom the Movie Nerd, for those of you who haven't listened to my show yet. I am sitting here with the one and only Cas Anvar. You guys may know him as Alex from The Expanse. He's been in a variety of shows throughout the years. Honestly, he'll know more about them than me, honestly. It's his career. So, Cas, I just wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself to the Talk TV audience and, just tell them a little bit about yourself,
Thank you, Dominic. Yeah, sure. People know me from The Strain, The Expanse. I've done Room, a great spy thriller called The Operative with Diane Kruger. Recently just got 3 movies coming out. One with Lily Singh. It's kind of her big film debut called Doin It, or kind of a rollicking comedy that's going to open in a few days.
Nice, it sounds good. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about that first, obviously. But before we get into that, I just wanted to ask you this is something I get into with pretty much everybody whenever I'm talking to anybody in terms of that works in any facet of the business, really, because, you know this better than anybody. This is a crazy business.
It's crazy business.
It's a crazy business to get into, and it's a crazy business to stay in and make a long career of it. So I just wanted to know, how have you done that, for lack of a better word? Everybody's story is different.
Imagine it's a crazy business for anyone. It's and even more challenging if you're a person of color, and I would say it's even more challenging if you are a woman, especially a woman who is a person of color. But how have I managed it? I graduated from National Theatre School here in Canada, which is kind of our Juilliard, and so that kind of prepped me with my acting skills, and I think I just was naturally blessed to not really realize I had a bunch of limitations. So every time I went out for something, I thought I should get it. And every time I set my mind to something, I just thought, well, there's no reason why I can't get this. And no matter how many times I failed, how many times I didn't get it, and that's thousands of rejections. For some reason, I'm wired not to allow those things to kind of knock me down. And so the one thing it did do, though, is it triggered the kind of take control of your own life thing in me. And so I said, I can't be at the beck and call and mercy of everyone else. I started my own company, and I started doing theater, Shakespeare. And that gave me autonomy. That gave me agency. That gave me the ability to create my own stuff and produce and direct and act in my own things. And that really built confidence, and that really built kind of a vision and a direction for me. And while I was doing all that, I was acting and auditioning on film and television, and slowly built a resume, and then eventually got really kind of excited and wanted to go to LA. So I slowly kind of went to LA every year for pilot season, booked a few things here, booked a few things there, and then finally when I booked, I can't even remember what it was, I booked one thing. I think it was called Shattered Glass, actually, if you're a film.
Yeah, I'm Hayden Christensen, right? Peter Sarsgaard?
That's it, yeah. Nominated for Spirit Awards. So I said, that's the one, I'm going to go to LA. And I moved to LA with Shattered Glass because I was really proud of that movie. Hayden did a great job. Peter, I became actually friends with Peter. I did another movie with him called The Lie, which was at TIFF.
I haven't seen that one, but I have heard of it.
It's really dark. And it deals with a lot of how far will parents go to protect their children.
Nice.
Yeah, my character was not happy with how that turned
out. I bet. Yeah, because it's so interesting. Because obviously you hear all these stories of the actors who they keep going at it and they go at it and go at it. They audition for the age-old story. For every actor's success, there's 1.5 million different auditions.
I think you got to be a bit of a masochist. I think you kind of have thick skin, so thick that you kind of almost got to be stupid. To the point where you just, no matter how many times people say you're not going to make it. No, absolutely not. You can't do this role. I'm like, why can't I play this lead? Why can't I play this character? And it's like, no, you can't. You're not allowed to. And I'm like, okay, well, screw you. I will.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the nature of being an actor too. Is the fact that not only do you not say no, it's like you got to have a certain level of stubbornness. You got to have a level of kind of not willing to say no, but also because it's just as much politics as anything else. And
there's a reason why it's called show business. The show part is the fun part. The art, the creation, the getting into it, that's the fun part. The business part of it is at least 50%. And that's the hard part, especially for an artist. If you are a genuinely committed artist, it is hard to do the show part where you're basically promoting yourself, self-promotion. You're kind of
the promoting yourself, self-promotion. You're
Just
kind
putting
of
yourself on
display,
display,
kind of like
you're in the streets. And it's a hard thing on your soul.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
gotta do it.
That's honestly another thing that I feel like just actors and people in the business don't necessarily talk about enough is balancing out the art, the play, the fun of it with the business aspect, you know. And as somebody who's I went to film school and I actually studied at a 2-year acting conservatory as well.
Wow.
Yeah, the neighborhood playhouse based out of New York. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I studied there for 2 years. And the thing that I always felt was lacking at all of those institutions was I feel like they always, rightfully so, focus on the art side, but
they don't prep you for the business.
they don't exactly. So I was just wondering, like, if you could talk about that.
Yeah, they don't prep you for the business. Like I said, National Theater School, which is like our premier school here. I think we had one course that was a film acting school, and it was like maybe 2-3 weeks, and we got to learn how to do film and stuff like that. The rest was all theater, voice, movement, all that kind of conservatory stuff. Not a single course on how to get an agent, headshots, negotiating contracts, how to start a theater company, because so many actors go out there and start theater companies and you have no clue. You gotta figure out from scratch how to get money, how to get grants, how to unions, like the SAG or ACTRA or AFTRA or whatever. Like you need to know how to join your union, because that's where you get the best jobs, is once you're a member of the union, and it takes time and credits and years. So it was all, and every single one of us does it trial by error. We just thrown into the deep end and we got to swim.
Yeah, pretty much. And if anything, you could say that's part of the fun of it also.
You see?
Like, no. Again, it is, but it isn't at the same time. Yeah, it depends. It really depends. Yeah, so really quick, I wanted to pivot into the movie that you're promoting right now, which I looked it up and I'm like, just the title alone, I'm like, Doing It? Perfect. I don't need to know anything else, so I'm just going to let you talk about that.
Right, well, let's just say I screened it. It was a fun movie. I loved working with them. Lily Singh and the director Mary and the producers, everyone amazing. Loved them. Very creative. She's, I gotta say, I have a huge amount of respect for her. It's a young woman, woman of color from Toronto area that just made a huge name for herself and just kind of like, just self-created, went from, online kind of influencer status to talk show host to movie writer to movie star, producer. It's like amazing story. And her first movie was great. Like the script was tight. And I can give you kind of like my synopsis of the story. It's kind of like a 4-year-old virgin, but from an East Indian female side of it, where this young woman who is trying to figure out who she is, and she's in her 30s and she hasn't had sex yet, and it all comes to kind of a head, and she has to figure out what she's going to do about that status. I will say, without giving anything away, that the first 10 minutes of this movie kind of blew my mind. I can honestly say that I have never in my life seen anything like it.
Wow, that's bold words, because again, with the amount of sex comedies that are out there in general, that's pretty crazy.
Something About Mary has nothing on
bold
this.
words. You heard it here first. Cas Anvar. There's Something About Mary has nothing on Doing It. What's it called? If you want to just talk about the part that you play in the movie as well.
I play this sweet innocent part. So the character that Lily plays is this 30-year-old kind of hustler tech guru trying to sell a new app. She's a really smart, brilliant woman, and she stays with her mom, and her mom is I guess in her 50s and single mom, and apparently hasn't been dating ever. And so Lily character is trying to get her mom to start seeing other people. Her mom is really, really fussy and like doesn't see any reason why she should be looking for men. And I am the neighbor next door, Farhad, who finds a package from Amazon that got delivered to my house by mistake, and bring it to them, and that and then all of a sudden her mom and I kind of have some sparks, and so it's a sweet little kind of romance.
So you're the dude that gets with her mom before she ends up losing her virginity. Okay, got it. That's makes
very
sense.
crassly put, but I'm not going to argue.
I was about to say that's the thing about me. I beat around. I don't beat around.
You
the
don't
bush.
beat
I get right
around
to
the
point.
bush.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple of other projects you were working on as well. I just wanted to talk about those as well, please.
Absolutely. I did an amazing kind of science fiction, post-apocalyptic kind of dystopian movie called Viper, written and directed by Mark Fermi, who's an amazing
kind of up-and-comer director, writer. And it takes place in some point in the future, and I play a character called Razor, and I'm a member of a covert military team that we are hired to go in and exterminate this biological weapons company. And my boss, who's Viper, his name is Viper, that's his code name, his little daughter is dying of cancer. And we go out to destroy this biological weapons factory, and we're hired by this corporation. In the future, the world is run by corporations.
Doesn't sound that too similar from where we are now.
Doesn't sound this similar. You're right. And so when we get there, we're about to blow up the whole place, and he discovers it's not a chemical weapons factory. He discovers that it's actually manufacturing a cure for cancer.
Oh, I
And,
see where this is going.
and that we were lied to basically eliminate, because we were hired, we find out, by the pharmaceutical companies. And cures don't make
The
money.
best villains. They really need to make more movies with pharmaceutical companies as villains. They really are the best villains.
So he steals the cure, and then chaos ensues because now we're the enemies and we're the prey, and we are basically spending the entire movie running for our lives, trying to get out of there with the cure and save ourselves, save him, save his daughter from kind of the nasty villains.
Sounds awesome. You have a release date and where that's going to be playing anywhere?
I do not know, actually. No, it's in the final stages of post right now, so it's
Okay.
probably going to be done in about 6 months. And once it hits, it's probably going to be it's an indie movie, but it looks great. We got great actors in it. We got Jonathan Rhys-Meyers in it. Who else we got in there? We got Neil McDonough.
Nice.
Who else we got? Oh, we got
The gentleman from Twilight. I should have brushed up on
I was
that.
about to say, I'm like, which one? There's a lot of them that were in Twilight.
I'll get back to you.
All right,
my
all right,
brain's
sounds good.
But it's got a great cast
Nice.
in it, and like I said, the director really knows what he's doing. He knows his shit. So
That's awesome.
I'm looking forward to the final
Nice.
product.
And what was the other one you mentioned? It's like one or two others.
Yeah.
Another one directed by Mark Fermi. It's called Weight of Darkness, and it is a psychological thriller starring Doug Jones, Corbin Burnson, Angus McFadden, and myself, and Jamie King. Great heavy hitting cast, and it is about a psychologist who is having all these nightmares, and he's starting to feel like he's getting possessed by something, and this dark kind of nightmare, kind of psychological drama turns into a supernatural kind of horror movie as we go into it, because we realize that the stuff that we think is him having a nervous breakdown is actually a little more based on reality.
So it's almost like Freddy Krueger, but like as an actual manifestation of somebody's own insecurities, not as this like separate entity.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And
where
where
it
it
goes,
goes, it gets quite dark and quite graphic and quite bloody.
So, and I play his best friend and another psychologist that is trying to help him and guide him through his struggle.
Wow, that's awesome. That sounds really good. I honestly am legitimately really excited. I know that obviously people say that all the time when
Mark's
people
a-
talk about their projects, but that actually does sound really cool and really exciting.
Thanks.
Yeah, obviously, again, I couldn't be remiss if not talk about The Expanse. I mean, this is a show that I was talked about for a while, like a couple of, like when I was on my swim team in high school, they were recommending it to me as one of like the go-to science fiction shows, and it took me a while. It took me until COVID, right about when you guys were set to wrap up, and I started watching it, and honestly, it's like you said, it took about the 4 episodes, and I could not stop watching it. It was, I think I watched almost 1 to 2 episodes a day, every day for like 6 months straight, pretty much. Yeah, it was, I binged that thing in like a few months, and obviously
it was your guilty pleasure.
it was not even a guilty pleasure, because like my whole thing is when I'm that locked into a show and I really, really enjoy it, I'm like, I'm not stopping and nothing is getting in the way. And obviously this is not to toot your own horn, but I gotta say Alex ended up being one of my favorite characters. It was like, well, I'll say this, it was
Well, it
constantly...
just shows that you are a man of good taste. And a very discerning artist.
I try. What can I say? Game recognized game. But but no, like let me just say, it was constantly almost like a competition between you and Amos as far as as far as being like consistently my favorite part of the show. And like obviously there's this very wide cast of characters. You've worked with a lot of people that came through the show, and so I just wanted you to talk about like just that whole process, that whole experience.
It was an amazing, wonderful, rewarding experience. We loved. I'll speak for myself, but I know everybody loved working on that show. We were incredibly proud of it. We worked our asses off.
It showed too.
And like one of the things a lot of people might not know, I don't know how much it was talked about, but we volunteered to to rehearse every single episode on our own time, like the weekend before we shot. And that's a luxury that most production companies don't get. We would meet at the director's hotel and we'd go to the green room and we'd spend half a day, like 4, 5, 6 hours going through the script, hacking away at everything and just hammering it in shape. And the writers and the producers would be there taking notes and writing and rewriting. And we'd find little problem moments in the script that like, but if I say this here, it's not going to work when we get down to here. Like, what's going to happen here? And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. Thank you. And then they'll da. And so by the time we show up on set, all those little things that, kind of irk us in a show when there's like a loophole or just some kind of like hole in the plot or whatever, we've worked those all out. And that's why the story is so strong, is because it was a real artistic collaboration.
That's actually insane that you say that, because you're right. Not only is that a luxury that most production companies can't afford, you almost never hear about that, but also it explains why. I mean, that whole cast, you, Steven, Dom, like I said, everybody in that cast, you guys really did feel like more than just an ensemble. You guys really felt like a family on the Rocinante.
And it did feel like that.
Yeah, and also that's so funny that you mentioned that, because you're right. The Expanse is one of the few shows that I don't remember there being a single plot hole, a single nitpick. You guys, like that was also the thing that you guys really got a lot of praise for as well. Is like you guys nailed the science aspect of the science fiction fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to take credit for that. That is the creators. Dan and Ty and our showrunner Narain were science gurus. Like they knew. I think Narain was actually a scientist. Before he was a PhD or something, some kind of chemical engineer or electrical engineer or something. He knew science like legit, and they were kind of amateur scientists. So all of that stuff was hammered out and tested and tried and true. And I think it was a point of pride for them that the fans, the super nerdy, hyper geeky fans, could not poke holes in any of their science. Yeah. And I think I remember it being a real sore point for on one episode where one of the fans called them out on the Coriolanus effect in one of the episodes, and they had gotten it not that or the I think it was actually my episode where I do a lot of slingshots around the moon of Jupiter to get down, and somebody just challenged something scientifically and said that wouldn't happen this way, that or that way, and they were like irked because I know we did it for dramatic effect, okay? Right. It wasn't 100% the way it would have happened. Right. And they were irked that someone actually knew and found it, but it was like maybe 1 or 2 of those in the entire series.
Right, and they were going to make sure that like that would never happen again. We're going to make sure that we nailed that right there. Yeah, no, it's absolutely crazy and so surreal for me, the fact that like 2 or 3 years ago, I was living in upstate New York and just being like, like nothing's gonna happen. Just watching this silly little show. Now here I am talking with one of the cast members. So you want to talk about like how things really transitioned pretty crazily? Yeah, it was just, oh man, like it's funny because famously, again, shows how much of a geek I am about that. So obviously there were 9 books, but you guys only did 6 of the 9. You guys ended, and I think it ended right where it needed to. Honestly, the Babylon's Ashes finale was really cool, and I'm nice. But of course, I'm gonna be that one science fiction nerd. Since I don't know if I'm ever gonna get an opportunity like this again to say that like, man, it's like I get why you guys ended where you ended, but man, those last 3 books, I started reading. I started reading Persepolis Rising, the 7th book, and like. Yeah. Oh man, it was just so good to be back with the crew. Yeah, and it's like I understand why they ended it, because you guys also had the jump from sci-fi to Amazon also. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Because I've heard things here and there, but like I wanted to know like if you know like the most about that.
I was pretty involved in it. Basically, what happened is Sci-Fi dropped it because they were losing money. They couldn't get the revenue that they needed, and the show was in limbo for 3-4 months. and then the fans went nuts. And
3-4
did a
months,
whole big
and then the fans went
campaign.
nuts. I did everything to help them and added my voice to the thing. And then at this event that I was at, and I kind of invited all of the cast and the showrunners and everyone to this event. It was a science event. I got invited to a lot of science events. And we did a panel there about the science of the Expanse, and I knew Jeff Bezos was going to be there. And so I kind of tried as hard as I could to get us to bump into each other, and we did.
And he got really excited to see us.
And he got really excited to see, invited us over to his table. We shot some photos, and at the time, because of what we were doing, Amazon was talking with the company to try and pick it up. And I think because Jeff saw us there and got really inspired, I think he pushed it along a little bit. And at that event,
he got up on stage and announced that
the Expanse has been saved. The Rocinante is safe. And then the whole crowd gets up and starts shooting, cheering. Our jaws dropped because we had no idea.
Yeah.
So
like,
it's goosebumps.
One of the few times you as an actor could say, no, I genuinely had no idea, and our reactions were the exact same as the fans.
Exactly.
Too. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, no, I mean, it was like a fantasy. Like we were all like, imagine if this happened. Imagine if you went up on stage. Like you're just dreaming, right?
Yeah.
And then it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it's truly like one of the few instances where it's like, obviously you're getting into the business, you're like, okay, well, not everything is going to be exactly the case, and then shit like this happens, and you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, come on, I have to. Yeah, no,
that was a fun ride.
Yeah, it literally was. Yeah, and so it's funny because that actually kind of goes into what we were talking about a little bit before the interview started, kind of the whole how just fandom in the internet age and Twitter and how everything has just changed in that sense. So actually I was wondering if you could kind of, for lack of a better word, reiterate some of those points as well for the camera, because I thought you brought up some really interesting stuff, especially from your perspective.
What I was saying is that I'm a huge fan of, like when social media kind of started, I'm a huge fan of social media because I watched it change the world. Like I remember when Twitter first came out,
I was doing a movie, or I wasn't doing a movie, I was up for a movie that dealt with a lot of political unrest in Iran. And at that time, the Iranian government was doing elections, and they had blocked all of the internet. So no one could know what was going on except Twitter. Twitter was allowing pictures and videos, so the whole world was getting to see what was going on there. And so Iran was held accountable for that. And I've watched, all sorts of disenfranchised people, all people who never had a voice that got finally got to be able to be heard. Groups of people being able to create communities, and it was great
for like 10 years. But then it just felt like people needed more.
And they got bored, and then influencers started, and then it started becoming, everything became hyper real. Everything became. It's not interesting enough unless it's at an 11. And so I feel like now there's just so much out there that is, you don't you watch the news now, you can't even tell what is real anymore because everything is a scandal. Everything is curated. And people now are being curated by algorithms so that anything that you think, whatever your opinion is going to be echo chambered on your phone. You're only going to see things that you agree with. So everything that you believe is just you're not going to get challenged. And so I'm looking forward to a day when we maintain all the blessings of the internet and there are some sort of checks and balances to allow us to go back to a point where we actually get exposed to a lot more variety of opinions and ideas, and we get challenged so that not everything is echo chambered by our devices and by algorithms.
Yeah, definitely. It's really interesting because again, this is a business, this is an art form where the audience plays an active part, and that obviously is important, but it's almost gotten to a point now where it's like, oh, it's not even about the art. It's just about, oh, how can I entertain me and myself? And everybody individually is going to have their own tastes. And the whole point of this art form, film, TV, whatever you have, it's supposed to be a communal experience, right? That's overall. And so I guess kind of where I'm going with that is, obviously specifics nitty gritty, how have you seen it change? Like how would you say that it has affected your specific career? And what would you say that you have done in order to try and maybe combat that, bring back some of that like kind of communal experience to it?
Yeah, I mean, I got really into the whole social media thing. Like I was doing so much online and so much promotion for the shows and things like that. And I remember when Facebook started getting really popular, I would watch Facebook and I would be like, wow, these people really have interesting lives. My life sucks. I'm boring. And then I would start going out and videotaping. And then my whole life became about, oh, this will make a great soundbite. This will make a great click. This will be a real good photo op. And I would populate my life with little shots to post on Facebook. And then by the end of the year, I was exhausted and I felt empty because I was like basically selling my life. And if I didn't have enough posts, I'm not interesting enough. And so I stopped. I just stopped doing that. And then on the show, I just got so excited about promoting. I was promoting all the time, trying to do as much as I could. And I feel like, to answer your question about how it becomes all consuming and you can get lost in it. And I've subsequently now, based on everything that has happened, have really just pulled back a lot. And I just feel like I feel like I'd like to go back to a time where we don't become promoters of our own work, that happens more organically. I think I think it's disingenuous, and I think it harms the art form when the artist becomes the promoter.
Yeah, I agree. I could not agree more because you want your art, going back to the whole art business thing, it's like there are, as much of a crossover as those can be, there are certain lines, because at the end of the day, you want the artist to focus on the art, because then when they don't, that's when it suffers ultimately. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, speaking of that, so obviously we're here in Toronto for the film festival. You have a favorite that you've seen so far at the festival?
I've only gotten to see the one, which I said it was Steal Away.
Yes.
It's produced by a really good friend of mine, Mr. Producers Deliviere, and it was absolutely. I called it a visual poem, and it was the cinematography in it was absolutely phenomenal. The story it's a fantastical kind of fable based on a true story about a slave who is trying to escape from their bondage and flee to. I think it was from Belgium to, not to Canada, but it followed a route that was a very common escape route from Belgium, but it was set in a fictional country. And the cinematography, the art direction, the acting, everything was absolutely spectacular. So if you get to see Steal Away, you're very lucky. I'm dying to see Aziz's film.
That was good. That was a fun one.
Which you tell me is hilarious. And I just don't think I'll be able to get a ticket to it, but I want to see Frankenstein.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Have you seen it?
I have not. No, and I'll tell you why. Because literally, my window, basically the way the press works is that you get a window closer to the festival in which you can select a certain number of free tickets.
Okay.
Problem is depends on
That
what
was
spot you are
gone.
online, and it was gone. I didn't even have a chance. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to see it. I might have to rush it, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to if there's going to be a ticket. But yeah, obviously, I mean, Frankenstein, that's Del Toro. That's like one of the OGs when it comes to championing film.
I worked with him on The Strain. He's a great guy.
Yeah, that's true. The Strain is a show that I've never gotten a chance to watch. I've seen a ton of clips from it, but I've never actually gotten a chance to watch it. But it's good.
It's dark. I mean, you've got to be able to handle kind of that dark kind of horror genre where you have an entire race of vampires that are dominating the world and turning humans into cattle. And I played a character on that. It kind of disgusted me, but he was a collaborator with the vampires, and so he was. And they gave me as research to look at videos of the collaborators from World War II.
Right.
Because there were Jews that worked with the Nazis to usher the people into the concentration camps and into the executions. And in return, they got favors. They got money, they got influence. And they were called out later on, and their souls were gone. And so my character was that character. His name was Sanjay Desai, and
he was a collaborator and he had a wife and he had this life and he just fooled himself that he was doing what's best, because if he doesn't do this, it's going to get much worse. So he's trying to make it easier on everyone, and it was a really hard part to do.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's always so interesting whenever just I hear actors talk about the parts in general. Like, even again, it could be the most despicable, disgusting part. But I mean, again, that's the actor's job, is to find the humanity. Ultimately.
Oh, yeah.
It's not to judge. It's ultimately to just kind of, again, understand. Because, I mean, also that's the beauty of the art form. That's the beauty of what it does, is that it allows us to kind of come together and overcome whatever minor, micro differences there are, or in this case, major. Or at the very least, like, oh, that guy seems like a terrible guy for what he did.
But he doesn't think he is.
Exactly.
He doesn't think he's a villain. Like my character Sanjay, he thought he was doing what was right, but in reality, he's doing what serves him. And he's scared, and he does not want to be in a prison or concentration camp, and he has a wife to protect. So he does what he thinks he has to do in order to survive, and he justifies it, he rationalizes it. And then at the end of the day, the story takes him and pays him his just desserts for what he's done. And as the actor, I have to turn off the part of my brain that is like, I can't even imagine. I can't believe that he's started up a maternity ward for babies that have a specific blood type, because that's the vampire's favorite.
Wow.
He set up what do you call this? A butchery, like a slaughterhouse, with automated kind of machines to kind of process the meat.
Is it telling me that it kind of makes you want to watch the show more? Only because, again, just because of the detail that's put into that?
It's because you're a sick puppy.
Okay, at least we both acknowledge it. And again, it's part of the reason why we're drawn to it. No, but yeah.
It's Damon Delavier was the producer.
Damon Delavier, okay, got it.
Brilliant producer, and I'm ashamed that I forgot his name.
It happens. Again, well, I mean, the amount of names, the amount of people that you meet in this business, like, yeah, there's going to be one that slips through. But yeah, real quick, so before we get out of here, obviously, I just wanted to ask you, so outside of the festival, just in general, is there anything that you've watched recently that you really enjoy, like a movie, a TV show, a book that you've read, anything like that? I'm sure there is.
Yeah, there is, and it's going to kind of knock your socks off that I haven't watched it before this. I just started watching Battlestar Galactica.
Wow.
The television series with Katie Sackhoff and Eddie Olmos. Holy shit. What a great show.
All right.
What a great show. The cinematography, the special effects, the acting, the story, the script, everything. And what blows me away is how much it reminds me of the show I did. I can see how much it influenced our creators. Like there was like the camera work, the cinematography, the grittiness, and what's amazing is the special effects, they hold up. It was shot 20 years ago or something.
Yep.
And it looks amazing. It looks real, man.
2004. I'm pretty sure Battlestar Galactica premiered the same year as Lost. I'm pretty sure. 2004.
Oh yeah. Another show I was on.
Yes, you were. Actually, I saw that when you were scrolling through IMDb. It's funny. I'm actually, as part of the podcast, I'm doing a recap of Lost right now because my partner has never seen it. So we just started season 3 right now, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe you were on until the last season.
Yeah. I mean, I play Saeed's brother in that.
That's right.
When
That's
they started
right.
doing the Flash.
Right, the Flash Sideways storyline. Yeah.
When the fucking creators, they lost their way, they didn't know what the hell they were doing.
See, it's so funny that
we got a Flash Sideways.
It's so funny that everybody says that about Lost because
I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that.
Well, no, you're not saying anything that people haven't already said about the show. That's the first thing. And secondly is the fact that it is so interesting. I have found specifically things from like when I was a kid, because I was like 6 or 7 years old when Lost premiered. And the things that like came out when I was a kid, I feel like the two biggest points of contention were the Star Wars prequels and Lost, specifically the Lost finale. And it is so interesting to see as kind of my generation has started to come into the fold, obviously, and also, with social media being a thing, how kind of the overall kind of thought process, the reflection, the perception of them, if you will, has changed. Because like, obviously, the Star Wars prequels...
Oh, so the actual opinions of the shows have changed since the advent of social media?
Yes, absolutely, they have. Yeah, because the Star Wars... It's... I don't necessarily know if I could point a finger to it. I think, obviously, just nostalgia in general has a thing to it, but I think part of it is also comes to... There's a certain level of... I'll call it Gen X, like, kind of, we gotta bring, there's too many problems with the establishment to really help with it. With my generation, it's a little bit different, but I think that it's a little bit of that kind of a mentality, and it's also just the fact that because also because we are the social media generation, we have kind of like a different way of viewing things. So, for example, the thing that I've actually been talking about a lot on Lost is the fact that Lost is a binge show that was made during the network TV era. You know, the era of like, again, just watching it every week and not really thinking about it. But Lost,
that's a good observation.
Yeah, you had these interconnected storylines that would take seasons to pay off. And, you know, and the flashbacks,
all
and
the little
flash
nuggets and the breadcrumbs that they,
exactly, and the little sci-fi elements that were in there too. And what I found so interesting is the fact that with the last season, the Flash sideways, and they were definitely experimenting around, and they weren't sure what they do. I've heard all that, but what is even more interesting to me, specifically about that last season, is that was kind of a way of having his cake and eating it too, which is an expression that you often hear that's usually like, you know, it's a sign of like, oh, they tried to too many things at once and it just didn't necessarily work. But what was so interesting about the way that Lost was structured was the fact that Lindelof and Cuse had spent that entire run telling people everything that happened on the island is real. Everything that happened on the island is real. It's not purgatory. They're not dead. Right. Because that was always the thing that people went to. It's like, oh, they're dead. It's purgatory, you know, whatnot. And then with that last season, they were like, what if we do a thing where we
Just
do that?
kidding.
Exactly. But what's so interesting too also is, what was Lindelof's follow-up show to that? The Leftovers, which was a show literally all about how, okay, you get a Thanos snap event, 2% of the world's population disappears, and we're not going to talk about it at all. The whole show is going to be about them moving on and moving on and moving on until the last 2 episodes. And then you get the Carrie Coon character, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen The Leftovers, but she has an opportunity to travel to a world where because the whole thing about her character's arc in that show is that her husband and her children have disappeared, and so it's just her.
Okay.
And so it's her spending the entire show trying to move on from that. And the last 2 episodes, she finds out, oh, she has an opportunity to go into this machine that will bring her to
her family.
Exactly. That will bring her to a reality where her family still exists. And so that totally recontextualized the whole last season of Lost for me, because I'm like, oh my God, this is the reality where they did die and they are actually moving on, and it's a way of helping the audience move on, quite literally in that sense. But like, because it was also a little bit of a Sopranos, a little bit of an FU to the audience, and it's like, okay, you guys wanted to see if they moved on, here you go, let's go at it. But yeah, there was something really cathartic, and obviously, again, I mean, you got the Giacchino score, you got them in the church, you got them going into the bright light, as it's juxtaposed with them wrapping up everything on the island. Like, it really is one of those instances where, like, again, I understand why it had the reaction it did when it ended, but I mean, it's been almost 20 years now since it ended. Like, I think this is like year 15 since the finale, so I mean, it shows like how perception of things change over time.
Okay, Umbrella Academy. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And the ending. That was unusual.
Yes, very unusual. I don't hate it. I didn't love it. I was lukewarm towards it. I definitely think it was a situation of where it's tricky, because that was one of those instances where, like, you had a couple of shows blow up during COVID, like specifically because of the Netflix effect. Cobra Kai was another one that you really saw this happen to. Oh my!
I watched it.
I mean, you literally. You want to talk about it? I was like, wait a minute! You mean to tell me you got a spin-off about Johnny actually like being the loser that everybody wanted to? It's gonna be one of the best shows of the last decade, and it was
unbelievable. And I mean, oh my God! And like, the Marshall, I can't talk.
But it was so good. It was so good.
It was so juicy. And
Yes.
I watched it. It was like a. That was my guilty pleasure.
I mean,
Cobra Kai.
Literally, I mean, it's like you were waiting every year to be like, who are they going to bring back? Because they brought back Kreese, and then they brought back Allie, they brought back Daniel's mom, they brought back Mike Barnes, they brought back Terry Silver. Like,
who's the guy who played the young Latino kid in there? Because he ended up going.
Miguel is Jolo, and now he's Blue Beetle.
He's Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
My buddy played the villain in that, and I was like, I know that guy from Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Good for him, man.
Yeah. No, that was the thing that really impressed me. Is I'm like, oh wow, that kid's a really good actor. Like, he's gonna go far. Now, I mean, look where he is now. Yeah, no, it's funny. I have this running thing on my podcast where I say, like, the best TV spin-offs or like spin-offs in general have to start as a joke, because the thing about and there's a reason.
True.
There's a method for madness, because the whole reason why Cobra Kai exists. So obviously the showrunners, it's if I'm remembering correctly, it's Hayden Schlossberg, John Hurwitz, and Josh Heald, if I'm remembering correctly, the showrunners, and they're the guys who did the Harold and Kumar movies, and they've done a bunch of comedies, and the whole
so they had a sense of humor.
A little bit, and I'm pretty sure one of them either was friends with or one of them worked on How I Met Your Mother. And one of the longest running jokes around How I Met Your Mother is that Barney says that Johnny is the true hero of the Karate Kid, so much so that they even got Ralph Macchio and Billy Zabka a cameo in the show as themselves.
Whoa.
And
that's
so
good. I didn't see that.
Yeah, and also the fact that Cobra Kai was a YouTube premium show before it blew up on Netflix. So they were like kind of taking a chance with that one. And so you have that, and then obviously Better Call Saul. The fact that that started as a joke in the writer's room, and then Gilligan and Gould decided to do it, and they're like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna go with this. And that ends up being one of the best shows of the last decade.
Awesome show.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Better Call Saul, one of my favorite. Breaking Bad, best TV I can remember watching. Breaking Bad kind of like redefined television for me. Better Call Saul was fucking awesome. Lenny.
Yeah.
From Laverne and Shirley, who plays his brother.
Yep.
Oh my
Yep. Michael McCain as Chuck. Yeah.
Wow.
That courtroom
What a
scene.
performance.
There was a point after I watched that courtroom scene for the first time where he has the breakdown, the chicanery episode. I think I watched that monologue at least once a day, every day, for like 3 straight weeks after that was done. With the phone in his pocket and the close zoom in as he keeps going and going and going. Because that was the thing. It was so funny.
Man,
where
beautiful. Great scene. I got goosebumps
so
just thinking about it.
Yeah, and then obviously where that show goes the way it goes. Yeah, it was
and
just...
Bryan Cranston in Breaking Bad. I got to talk about this because I'm a huge Shakespeare lover. And I'm watching that show. I binged it after it was over because everyone's talking about it. I hate it when everyone's talking, like Game of Thrones. I didn't watch it until it was done.
Yeah, smart.
I like to just watch at my own pace and not listen to people. So I watched Breaking Bad when I had all of the binging to do. And then I get season 3, season 4, season 5, and then all of a sudden he starts going dark. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, something about this is familiar. This plot, this story, there's something really familiar about this. And then we get to the part in the last season where he goes dark and he's threatening his best friend, and Hank, who's kind of like the law, all of a sudden becomes like the protagonist. I've never seen a TV show switch their hero and their foil. And in the last season, the foil becomes the hero and the hero becomes the villain. And I'm like, what does this remind me of? I'm like, this is Macbeth.
Yep.
And so I Google Breaking Bad and Macbeth, and boom, Gillian is like, it's a big part of like da-da-da-da. We wanted to have that whole hero going dark and being tempted by fates and all this stuff. So that like the witches was the meth, right? And the money and the power. So I thought that was really cool because you can never go wrong with Shakespeare.
You really can. I mean, you just talk about what a kind of a generational moment Breaking Bad was. I mean, obviously you have the whole era of The Sopranos, but Breaking Bad comes out and that really did. I think for my generation, changed TV for the better. It's so funny when you think that like HBO, Showtime, they all passed on that pilot. And
are you kidding?
Swear to God,
that I didn't know.
Swear to God, it is a big, well-known fact that Gilligan, after he was done with X-Files, was
they're gonna be like,
and listen, it happens. But when Gilligan was shopping it around, HBO, Showtime passed on it. I think he even said that like when he wrote the pilot, it was like an expression of like a midlife crisis thing. And now look at what it is and look at what it's become.
Well, it was full. It was full. Peter Facinelli.
Yes. I was going to wonder, I'm like, is it Carlisle? Because I have watched it.
Peter Facinelli is the lead of Viper.
Yes.
He plays the guy.
Yeah. Good actor.
Good actor. So it's a great
him.
cast.
Yeah.
They have a great cast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to.
Oh no! By all means. Again, what you're saying is that was your Chekhov's gun moment. You circled back to it. You introduced it. Now you had to use it. So that's what that was.
There you go.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So real quick, if you haven't gotten a chance to watch it and you are able to, if you are a big Shakespeare fan, I would heavily recommend Hamnet, Chloe Zhao's new movie. Yes, I watched it this morning. It was It was very, very weighty, very emotional.
Okay.
Yeah, it's based off of a book that's basically it's a fictionalized story about how basically Shakespeare and his wife. It's basically like sort of how the death of their son inspires him to create Hamlet, but like the levels that it goes to, it's Paul Mescal, it's Jesse Buckley, it's pretty much a two-hander between those two, and like, I mean, if you've seen Mescal on Normal People, you know that he's got it where it counts,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Hamnet.
All right.
I'm gonna go look at it and talk to my people right now.
Yeah, definitely. Then not only that, but also, I mean, if you could potentially like work with, like I said, there's a reason why those two are kind of like on the up-and-coming list as far as people look at.
Who would you want to work with? If you had your choice, what director and what 2 actors, what leading male, what leading female would you want to work with?
Oh Oh my God! I mean, that list. I mean, obviously, I have my favorites. Tarantino, Nolan, but those
Oh,
are
yeah?
like the big guys.
Okay.
I also like to, obviously, I'll admit Drew Goddard. I'm a big fan of. I love what he did with him working with Joss Whedon on Cabin in the Woods, and I also really enjoyed Bad Times at the El Royale. That was kind of an inspiration actually for the script that I'm working on right now, actually, which is also kind of set in a motel.
And you're a writer too.
I am. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah,
Look at
yeah,
you, man.
Yeah. Like I said, I
Quintuple
tinker.
threat.
I try to do everything. It's good to be multifaceted in this business, as we know, and those guys, and there was somebody else that I saw recently that I'm like, oh, I'm really interested in that guy and what they do, and it's currently escaping me. But hey, okay, we'll come back around to it. Exactly.
Give me your
We'll circle
checkup
back
moment,
around
bro.
to it. Yeah, absolutely. But Cass, this is a blast, man.
It's a pleasure, man. It's
seriously,
really
thank
really
you.
fun.
Literally.
You talk really fast, but
Yes.
I get everything.
Yeah, that's
Somehow you articulate your thoughts really well, so I don't feel lost.
Hey, that's good. That's what I've been told by almost everybody that I have met. So I will add you to that list. So
Okay, there
for
you go.
everybody who has been watching / listening, I am Dom the Movie Nerd Rizzi, host of the Talkin TV podcast, and this has been Cas Anvar. Cass, do you have any place where, like, I don't know if you still do social media or any place to follow, or
just Instagram, just my name. That's where you can probably find me.
All right, got it.
And watch Doing It when it comes out in September 19th.
Yes, indeed. Watch Doing It. I can't think of a better sign off for this podcast. Oh man, take care, guys. Have a good one.
Bye bye.